Hey team, this is the off season brought to you by the Wests Group, Newcastle and the Hunters, one of a kind dining and entertainment venue. How good are they? And how good is this? This week, I've been wondering what condiment I should have on tap, Lincoln, after Kalyn Ponga debuted that new mayo tie a couple of weeks ago in one of the strangest brand collaborations that we've seen in a little while. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, Scotty. Always a pleasure, mate. Back on here chatting to you. The weather's heating up. The off season's really firing and kicking off. But yeah, as you said, mate, one of the most bizarre brand deals. I don't think anyone ever saw that being pitched. I would love to know how that would have been pitched to KP. But yeah, certainly one of the weirder ones we've ever seen.
Left field. But I did, for me, I was thinking I'd probably go like a slightly Japanese version, like a bow tie that had Kewpie and tonkatsu sauce. So, like, when you have it on the on your chicken schnitzel and it gives it a nice sort of Japanese vibe, that'd be good. I was thinking maybe beer, but then you'd have to turn the tie upside down so you could kind of like squirt it straight into your mouth.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, mate, I'm a huge sucker for a bit of Diane sauce. Load me up with the Diane, brother. But yeah, I'd keep that up the sleeve. But yeah, one of the.
Sorry, you put the bow tie up your sleeve.
Is that what I said?
You said you keep
sorry,
it up the sleeve.
Not up my sleeve, around my neck.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the Diane sauce, pal.
Well, I saw our good mate Dan Nielsen from What's New in the Castle. He actually put the call out, and they sent him the bow tie, and he did his own version of the ad with the actual bow tie from Hellman's, which I thought was great. I think he ended up with most of it down his shirt. Didn't do it quite as cleanly as Kalyn did. Pretty crazy. Are there any ads out there that you've seen footy players do that you'd like to recreate, do you think?
Oh, when you ask me, Scott, the first one that comes to my head is just that iconic, was it 1994, 5, Simply the Best, running down the beach, Tina Turner, looking ripped, having a good
That's
old
literally
time.
what popped into my head too. I thought,
Was it really?
We would look ridiculous, like me being the skinny beanpole and you with the flowing hair and the beard. I mean, in a pair of Speedos, that would be ridiculous. But I mean, that is one of the icons of the game, isn't it?
Oh, mate, that's 90s football. To a T. The super iconic. But yeah, I tell you what, he might have this attached to him for a while. Did you see that? You know how they're doing the Knights tour? They're going to all the different places doing the training.
Yes.
And the young fella getting the bottle of mayonnaise signed. That was pretty cool, I thought.
That's so good. It seemed to catch him by surprise a little bit too, but he got it straight away. And you love to see it. Absolutely. So that's Kalyn and that's Newcastle this week. But did you know the biggest sporting achievement by an Aussie this week? It wasn't at the cricket, which we'll get to a bit later, but it was in the USA where Robert Irwin has won Dancing with the Stars.
Did he? Good for him.
He did.
Mate,
he took it out.
He is, mate, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Like, I don't think anyone hated Steve Irwin, and his son's just like him. The Americans absolutely love the bloke. Good for him, mate. Good for him.
Oh, mate, he absolutely blitzed it on there. And of course, the Americans went wild when he took his shirt off a couple of times in some of the dances. His sister actually won it about 8 or 10 years ago as well. So it's the Irwin double on USA Dancing with the Stars, which is pretty incredible. So it's a big off-season cheer for Bob, or Robert as he likes to be called these days, and a big well done. We'll have a look at what else is happening in the off-season right after this.
Yasmin Clydesdale hits hard for the Knights, her state and her country. But off the field?
I'm all about relaxed vibes, fresh seafood and the seaside breeze.
The Bay Brasserie at West Nelson Bay has exactly that. Relaxed vibes, fresh prawns, fish, scallops and more served daily.
No fuss, just tasty seafood.
Or the bistro's open daily too if you want something more casual.
Either way, I'm not sharing my plate.
Search West Nelson Bay. Fresh flavours, relaxed atmosphere.
Well, we're back with the off-season, and Lincoln, the Newcastle Knights are heading off. Any more chatter about the captain's training schedule over the off-season with news that Kalyn Ponga may be wearing a protective boot through until the end of the year. It's good to get this info, isn't it, mate, about the rehab plan, but what do you think? Does it feel like a little bit of a setback for Kalyn, given Dylan Brown's coming in and they're going to want to be forming partnerships?
I don't know. It's sort of I can only see what I see, from social media. He seems to be going through the motions and whatnot. Maybe it's more precautionary because let's be honest, we do not want to aggravate it whatsoever. So the Knights, understandably, probably on the side of caution on that. I presume before they really heat up into things come January and February, trials football around the corner. I tell you what, though, I don't know if you got the same feeling, Scotty. When I saw the Knights post the Kalyn Ponga update, oh, my heart just sank. I'm thinking, oh my God, what
this?
has happened? Is it going to be one of these bloody training accidents and he's re-injured himself? But oh my, thank God that wasn't to be the case. But geez, I think hundreds of thousands of Knight supporters certainly had a miniature heart attack, mate, when that news dropped. But yeah, look, I think it'll be all right. I think it's purely precautionary. He'll be fit and firing, and mate, the boys, don't they look fit?
Oh, absolutely. And they say he's progressing pretty well with his rehab, as you said. He had that high ankle sprain last season, and the boot is supposed to minimize soreness so that he can return to full-time training in the new year, which is great. I do kind of get a bit. I don't get why, and it's not just the Knights. A lot of sports clubs do this, where they say, club statement, and they'll make you click through to their profile and then click through to the website. Just write on social media what the thing is that you want to tell us so we can read it and we can all move on. It was a bit scary. He has, though, been setting the record straight this week again about where he wants to play and about all the talk about his contract. He's been quoted saying, "It's frustrating, definitely, but for some reason I'm used to it. As long as the boys know where my commitment is and the coaching staff, then people can say what they want." He was also quoted saying that that's all I can control. I can't really control what's written about me, but I can control the way it is for us, how I show up for them, as in the players, and that's all I really care about. And that's him to a T, isn't it?
Yeah, like I can't remember what it was exactly when there was this, news came about once more, and he put that statement out when he was injured, saying, "Look, I'm committed to the Knights. I'm not going anywhere." To be honest, I don't. How much is enough? Like, what more does this bloke got to do or say to say, this is where I am, to try and stop any speculation? I don't know if it's just, I swear, Scotty, the journos spin a board sometimes, and every other week, it's Kalyn Ponga leaving the Knights, and they just write a piece on it. Yeah, look, he's locked in. I'm sure he's super excited to get Bill Brand to the club. Yeah, look, I think it's just more Sydney media beat up, mate.
I agree, and I also think he's just one of those characters, and he's one of the biggest names in the game. He's one of the highest paid players in the game, and journalists and media organisations love writing about him, and people love reading about him. So I think when there's a sniff of an inkling, of a suggestion, of a potential story, they are all over it. And there might be a skerrick of truth, or like, when he was in New Zealand, he happened to bump into the recruitment manager from the Warriors in a public setting at a speaking engagement. They're going to write about it. And that's just the way it is. And for Kalyn, it's about showing up at training and controlling what he can control. And I guess forgetting about what's happening in the media and doing what he does best, which is playing so well on the field. And you can see the team training this weekend in Cessnock. And then in a couple of weeks' time, they've got the big fan fest at McDonald Jones Stadium on Saturday, the 13th of December, which should be really great. Justin Holbrook's been talking about this little roadshow that they've been on. They're in Raymond Terrace, Cessnock, as I said, this weekend. They go to Coffs Harbour as well at some point. And Justin Holbrook said that it really is about reconnecting with the fans and getting outside of that Broadmeadow bubble, which is an interesting way to sort of put it. They've got that beautiful, high quality training facility there now at the Centre of Excellence, but he's really, but somebody who's got experience with Newcastle, having played here for a little while, wanting to kind of reconnect with the things that the players decided as well a couple of years ago with their values about grit and toughness, and going and finding some real people in the community that represent that. I really like that, don't you?
Yeah, 100%, Scotty. And that's all early in the piece when we got Holbrook to the club. There was one thing he did touch on, obviously being an ex-Knights player in the late 90s into the 2000s. Yeah, it's so important, particularly for a working class town that absolutely lives and breathes. It's rugby league heartland. And yeah, you should be absolutely tapping into that. I love seeing clubs do that. I think more clubs should probably lean into that. I think that was like one of the big downfalls of Desi Hasler was just that complete and utter disconnect from the community to the rugby league team. It's so important. It's incredibly important. So I love it, mate. Hopefully it's a tradition that continues on. But yeah, I'm all for it for sure.
And I like players seeing, their fans outside of that match day setting and connecting with them in a different way and giving them a bit of love and a bit of time. It doesn't take a lot, and I think obviously fans just love it and buy into it so much more. And getting that moment with their favourite players or seeing them train, and you're getting out of that Broadmeadow bubble, going to Cessnock and Raymond Terrace and working class places where there's some great people and these are great towns. I think it's a fantastic move. I really like it. Now, still at Newcastle, and plans are coming together for their massive trip to Vegas, which I know that you're thinking about a lot more now. With new head of football, Chris James, has been in Nevada this week. He's been looking at training facilities, accommodation, and other sites of interest for the players and support staff. They're away for a whole week for the game on Saturday, the 28th of February. And it is a really big logistical exercise because so many of them are going. They're going for a week. It's international travel. And of course, they've got to be match ready for that big game. It must be exciting. And for Chris James getting to go and get a bit of a head start on it too is really great for him. We know the boys love a coffee. We see them down at Merriweather and Newcastle Beach a lot of mornings during the week. They have a bit of a run or a walk, a bit of exercise and get a coffee together. So I'm hoping that Chris James is also looking for great coffee spots for the boys. I did a bit of a Google search. There are a few good places serving Aussie-style coffee in Vegas at the moment. Do you drink coffee?
I love a coffee, Scotty. I'm a huge oat latte kind of a guy.
Oat latte?
Love an oat latte, mate. I was converted about 2 years ago. Never looked back, pal. I love them. So this is music to my ears, mate. If they can do the hard work for me, trust me, I'll be reaching out to Chris. They give me the list, mate, because we spoke about this. I'll be happy, man, if I got coffee in me. So,
well, I'm a strong cappuccino guy. There are a few places, as I said. I found one called Bungalow Coffee Co. They roast their own, which is great. Hope you've been saving. A flat white there is $4.75 US. I didn't check how much an oat latte is. Probably more for the oat milk. It's $7.30 in Aussie money, but then you've got to add your tax and your tip on top of that. So you're probably looking at about $8 for a flat white.
Jeez, yeah, that's right. They've got this whole adding the tax and the tip. Yeah, I've got to get used to this, mate. I don't want to be that obnoxious tourist that doesn't tip. How does that work again? You're a well-traveled man. What's the going rate on a tip there? How do you work
20%.
That out?
It's 20%. So
you got to get the calculator every time
well, they'll give you a receipt with the options of 17.5%, 20% or 22.5%, and I think maybe even 25%. So you can see what those options are, and then you can either type it in or tell them what you want, or you can pay cash. A lot of people still pay cash there, but I remember when I went years ago, it was you go to a bar or a pub and it was $1 a drink, and I always felt that was reasonable, if a bit steep, as a younger fellow with not too much money. But these days you go into a bar and it's 20% basically. So I'm trying to think how much. It's probably between $8 and $10 for like a schooner / pint. So that's like American. So it's like $16, and then you got to add tax on top of that, and then your tip. So it kind of looking at about. They must
do their head in. They must come here and just go, it's so easy. Just pay, done.
I think so. No, I love our system. It is much simpler. I do feel for the people who are working there, obviously, you're paying tips because they're not paying them a proper minimum wage. That's what the tips are for. It doesn't go to the restaurant. It goes to the workers who are getting about $4 an hour. So that's why I don't mind paying.
I'll be tipping, Scotty. Don't worry, mate. I'll be
good,
tipping.
man. I like to hear it. Yeah, and always tip that little bit extra, because especially if they're doing a good job and helping you out.
Yeah, maybe a couple of little shout outs. I'll buy their loyalty. I'll get some night supporters by the way of tips. All right, I'll do my part.
That's right. Send some more custom their way. Bit of a shout out on the night. Yes, I like it.
Yes.
Well, mate, it also got me thinking this week as well with Chris over there. Who do you want to see as the entertainment at Vegas? This has been floated a little bit in the news the last couple of weeks. And it did get me thinking about, what type of artists might play. We've had some pretty good artists at the NRL Grand Final, and I think we talked earlier in the season this year about how the NRL entertainment, I think, always looks so much better than the AFL, which has to do it in the daytime. They tend to get, bigger stars because they'll pay up to $5 million for someone to come, like a Robbie Williams or a Katy Perry. They had Snoop Dogg this year. We don't do that, but our shows look great, and they bring that strong, vibe, because it just looks so good at nighttime. The games in Vegas, now they're going to be at nighttime as well, or Allegiant Stadium, the roof is closed. Is it day? Is it night? I don't actually know. What's the go there? It must be nighttime.
That's a bloody good question. I think it might be afternoon.
Like afternoon into evening.
I think that might be the case.
Yeah, so I think there's a roof on it too, so you're going to get a nice dark setting. But I was wondering about which bands or artists could be the go. The NRL hasn't locked anybody in, but the Killers is one name that's been floated. I think they'd be incredible. Okay. They are from Las Vegas, so it would make sense. I reckon money will be the issue. I don't think the NRL will have enough cash or will want to pay the cash that it'll take to get the Killers. So I went to ChatGPT and asked on a beer budget, not a champagne budget, who would be like a good affordable artist that you could land that would be US based. That might be a good fit for the NRL crowd, and it got a couple of good suggestions. Fallout Boy was one, which I thought wasn't too bad. Jimmy Eat World, who've had like one hit song in about 20 years, but they're okay. Aussie band the DMAs, who spend a lot of time in the US. The Wombats got thrown up, which is actually one of my favourite bands, but I can't see them sort of fitting into Vegas in an NRL setting, but interesting. Macklemore, who played at the NRL Grand Final about 5 or 6 years ago and was a really big hit, could be a good option. And then for something a bit more Vegas and a bit more poppy, the Chainsmokers, which I actually kind of liked as well as an option, though I've never seen them perform live, so they could be garbage in a stadium, I don't know. But I then also went and sort of said, well, okay, they're great ideas, but what if money was no object? And, all the biggest hits, AC/DC, Foo Fighters, The Weeknd, who's just come off a big stadium tour over there, Coldplay, and it also stupidly suggested Beyonce or Taylor Swift. Now, I like Taylor Swift. Beyonce's okay, but they're not going to fit in at an NRL setting, and there's no way the NRL would ever be able to afford them. What do you think? Who would you like to see? And are there any on those lists that you like, or is there someone else that you're keen on?
I do like the shout of the Foo Fighters. I think Foo Fighters in this period would go really, really well. I think that big stadium kind of thing would really vibe with that. We went through this before on one of our match rewind shows. I think a guy who would just suit the rugby league vibe, and I think he'd be all around. I could see him integrating with the players and just be all about it. I know he's a big NFL guy, big Dallas supporter. I reckon Post Malone in the NRL would go off.
Absolutely.
Obviously one of the big stars at the moment, real down to earth kind of cat. I think that his kind of thing, his sort of vibe would really work with rugby league. I think he'd be a real leaguey type bloke.
Yeah, I think it's got to be someone who can get down with the people and maybe be a bit working class. I sort of thought something country could be good. It's obviously popular here at the moment, huge in the US, and there's a lot of artists there that you could call upon. I was thinking, not exactly working class anymore, but Keith Urban, who's an Aussie guy going through a tough patch at the moment. And
he might try to get every dollar he can get at the moment, old Keith. So you might get him on the cheap.
Like a Luke Combs maybe, or Lainey Wilson, who's actually coming to Newcastle next year and playing at a country festival in Newcastle. So she just hosted the American Country Music Awards last week, and she's a cracker of a performer. So I don't know. Something country maybe for me might be quite cool. So there's a few ideas for the NRL. Some Chat GPT generated, and some off-season Scotty and Link generated. We'll see what they come up with, and you can let us know how it goes when you see them live.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. Do you know one thing I'm actually kind of looking forward to, Scotty, and surely they will do it, is they would sing the American anthem there, right?
Yeah, probably.
I'm just, I'm just, how super patriotic they are. I kind of want to feel that. I'm going to be looking forward to singing the national anthem, our national anthem there.
Yes.
To kind of witness that there.
Do you sing it at the stadium?
Absolutely, mate. Hat off, hand on heart. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it's actually one of those rare moments where you actually do feel something about the country. And I think it's kind of gone out of fashion a little bit, which is a bit of a shame, but you see it on like Anzac Day. It gets sung pretty well at those big games on Anzac Day, which is great. And I think the more we can do it, the better. But yeah, if they're gonna, I imagine they'll perform the Aussie anthem there too. But the big American anthem, if that gets a belting by a good local artist, you'll certainly feel something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Hey, back into Newcastle and looking ahead to next year, and 2 double headers announced for Newcastle for the 2026 Rugby League World Cup, which is amazing. There's one double header in round 1, which is on the 18th of October. And then they're going to have another double header hosting the semi-finals there. So the round one games are Fiji versus Wales for the men and New Zealand versus Fiji for the women. And then double header, as I said, in the semi-finals. We don't know who that is, of course. We'll find out once they go through those round games. But the other semi-final is going to be held at Allianz Stadium, and the final is at Suncorp there in Brisbane, which you might get along to, mate. A really big reward for Newcastle footy fans, and I think it's awesome that the semi-finals are going to be played in Newcastle, given that there's going to be games all over the country, including in Perth and Melbourne, and I think there's a game or two in New Zealand as well. So this is really fantastic for Newcastle footy fans.
Yeah, isn't it, Scotty? And mate, hasn't the World Cup literally just come at the right time? Just the fever pitch. Like we saw, the Ashes. You know what? We got the job done. The English weren't great. Is what it is. It's just good to have it back. Pac champs have just gone to a whole new level. The whole Tonga and Samoa, those two teams have just come leaps and bounds. To have this to look forward to next year, my God. But yes, great to see Newcastle get rewarded with some representative football games. I'm sure they're going to be packed out. I'm sure the faithful will get along to those games, pack out Mac Jones Stadium. But yeah, looking forward to it, mate. There's going to be some stiff competition, mate, for for that World Cup.
You're going to go to the final?
Absolutely, yeah, and it's the gift that keeps giving, mate. I know they had the Ashes game on my birthday this year. I think it's Australia versus Cook Islands, Suncorp Stadium, 25th of October. Yet again, I get to watch the Kangaroos on my birthday once more, mate. So,
wow.
Yeah, pretty good stuff. But yeah, definitely, mate. I think tickets have gone on sale for a few of the games, not the final yet, but you can bet, mate, I'll be there for that for sure.
Very good. Now, you must be having some mixed feelings this week with the news that Jackson Hastings is heading back to the UK. The former Man of Steel has signed for a year with St Helens, one of the big clubs, one of the big six clubs over there in the Super League, and it brings his time in Newcastle to an end.
Yeah, mate, I love Jackson Hastings. I really do. I know he's a bit of a maligned figure in the game. I thought he was such an integral part to that 2023 campaign that we had. He was huge. We obviously had that trade deal with the West Tigers. We let David Clemmer go to them. In return, we get Jackson Hastings, and immediately hit the ground running. 2023's first season, came in and did well. He did exactly what he needed to do in order for Kalyn Ponga to flourish. And, I think personally, he's been the best halfback in the building we've had in a long time. He fell out of favor for reasons we don't know. But, yeah, look, he won't be lost to the game. I feel like with a couple of new NRL club franchises coming around the corner, they're going to be looking for a guy. If he's not an out-and-out starter, I'll tell you what, he's a pretty good understudy or a backup kind of guy to maybe have a young guy who can learn off the back of him. But yeah, he's going to kill it over in the Super League, mate. He said, Man of Steel, he's still got plenty of quality football. Unfortunately, just some really, really catastrophic injuries, to the ankle. He had all sorts of issues there. He had that horrible hip drop. Jacob Preston in the 23 season that ended that for him, which just really hampered him. But I love Jackson Hastings' time at the Newcastle Knights and cannot thank him enough for what he did in that 2023 season.
Absolutely. And you talked about David Clemmer. He's off to the Super League too. So maybe it's a little bit of a sign of the times and where they're up to both as players. But he's obviously still, as you said there, got a bit of an eye on the future, signing just for a year and maybe thinking ahead to these teams that are coming into the NRL in the next couple of years, and maybe also teams coming into the Super League where there's expansion happening as well. Looking outside of Newcastle now to some of those other expansion teams, and Harry Grant is off the shopping list for Perth and for PNG after re-signing for the Storm. Big news there, and I think given all the changes happening there at the Storm, they'd be very happy to have hung on to the Australian vice-captain. And it looks like another Knights forward is heading south to Melbourne as well to join Harry. Jack Hetherington has been in and out of Adam O'Brien's team over the last couple of years. He's played 53 games over 3 seasons. And now with Melbourne's Eli Katoa out for at least the next 12 months after that horrendous head injury, reports this week that Hetherington is apparently close to signing with the Storm and joining our mate Josh King there for 2026 in the forward pack.
Don't be at all surprised, Scotty, if Craig Bellamy could really turn Jack Hetherington's career around. I think there's
many have
obviously
tried.
potential.
Many have tried.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Many have tried. Look, I think we've seen absolute glimpses. I think I think we did somewhat of a job of quelling that. He was a real firebrand. wasn't he? He had a couple of brain snaps, the old slap. He loves slapping the old bloke, even though I don't hold it against him for slapping Reed Marnie. I think anyone should be allowed to slap that bloke.
I think he played well, though, for us in the games that he
yeah.
played.
Yeah, he did a job. He absolutely did a job. As you said, look, he bounced in and out of Adam O'Brien's squad. To be honest, with the guys that we had bought, I could see why we kind of moved on from him. But tell you what, landing on your feet, going to Melbourne, and if there's anyone who can really turn him around and get him on the straight and narrow, look, he's still pretty young. What did you say? How old he was there? Or
I think he's like 20, 28.
yeah, so he's still got plenty of good football in him. He's hitting into the peak of his powers. Most props late 20s, coming into their 30s, hit their straps there. So, wish him all the best. He did a job for us. But yeah,
I was close. He's 29.
29. There you go. So, I think he'll take it with both hands and be interesting, mate. Josh King went to a whole nother level, didn't he? He was a great footballer for us. Goes down there and he's absolutely killing it. So, if there's anyone that can turn him around, it's going to be Craig Bellamy for sure.
And another week and still no signings for R360. But some people are wondering this week whether Zach Lomax is preemptively splashing the cash that might come from the rugby comp or wherever else he ends up next. He's just bought a house on the water in what I'm calling the Swansea of Wollongong. It's a place called Barrack Point, and the house really can only be described as a 1980s Italian palace. There's a fair chance he's going to knock this house down. A 3-bedroom, 2-story house, which cost him $4 million. But for the location it's in, it looks like an incredible spot. I've seen some pictures of the house. Pretty average looking though. But he's obviously either been saving his pennies or he's hoping for a big payday from R360 or another rugby comp, and perhaps some news on that in the near future. R360, though, is the story that won't go away. Jai Gray from Souths has signed a new contract with the Bunnies, so he's off their shopping list. And there's still some talk that players could sign, but only if they get the money up front. I know that was mentioned around Payne Haas when he's been talked about as a potential recruit to R360. Has your opinion changed on this? Do you think this competition is a threat, given what's happened over the last few weeks?
I think every week from now, Scotty, that goes on and they don't nail a signing, I think it's just, it's diminishing before our eyes. Like, you just can't see any information. I don't even think they've got a website, no social media presence, nothing.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of like if we weren't writing about it, no one else would be. It's bizarre. I haven't even seen them, whoever they are, talk about anything. Like they're not even front footing and saying we want these guys and this is the opportunities, and even them publicly trying to sell it. It sort of seems to be all behind closed doors, and then sort of as far as the public's concerned, we really don't know what it is. It's kind of like they're trying to sell it to players, and I don't know.
And to broadcasters, maybe they're also trying to kind of put it together in the background to get broadcasters on board as well before.
Well, I heard it was going to go on YouTube. That's what I heard. It's like it's bizarre, but it just seems like there's so many holes in it. I'm starting to think it's going to fizzle, mate. Me personally, but
well, I might have a bit of a look into it this week and just see what else we can find out about it and have a bit more of a chat about it, because I am interested in learning a bit more about it and where it's up to, what other information is out there about it, because most of what I'm getting is from the rugby league universe, and that's all about the league players that are supposedly going to get poached, but I haven't really kind of heard too much beyond that. So I reckon I'll have a bit of a look at that this week, and I can report back next week with some more information, or confirming what you've just said, that really there's not much to it. So maybe we could talk a bit more about that next week. Now, mate, have you heard of a star spot?
A star spot?
Like when you're out and about and you see someone famous, you're like, star spot.
Oh, yes, okay.
So Dylan Brown was spotted in Swansea recently, settling into life into Newcastle, which is great. He was at the surf shop there. He got bodyboards, an umbrella, and a beach blanket for himself and the kids, which is great to see. It's been very hot this week in New South Wales, so no doubt that's all been getting a workout. But that's a star spot. Have you ever been spotted by a star?
Have I personally been spotted by a star? Yeah. Nothing's coming to mind, Scotty, to be honest with you. Maybe Kurt Gidley. No, Kurt Gidley did. Okay. That's my claim to fame. Kurt Gidley spotted me called me out and I had a chat with him. So, yeah. Yes, I have been, Scotty.
Oh, but what was the circumstances? Were you weren't like peering through the windows at his house or anything, were you?
No, he doesn't spot me then. It was after a horrible loss at Mac Jones Stadium. I think it was early this year. It was early this year. Had my head down and Link, how you doing, mate? And came up and had a good old yarn. So that made me feel good. That made me feel
He's a
good.
great
To be
bloke.
recognised by Kurt Gidley was nice.
Absolutely. Well, I've got one. It actually happened to me this morning. Tyler Harvey, who plays for the Illawarra Hawks. So I'm walking the dog in an Illawarra Hawks singlet, waiting at the lights to cross as we head towards the beach. And I hear this. I've got my headphones in and I'm listening to music or whatever. And I can hear this toot, toot, toot. And then the third toot, I kind of looked up and this guy goes like that, waving at me. And I looked at him, I was like, that's Tyler Harvey.
Nice. Good
So I was
for
like,
you.
How cool. I was like, so it was one of those like a reverse star spot. He spotted me in the Hawks gear. And I guess they've been having such a tough season. He was just probably pretty happy to see somebody out in an Illawarra Hawks singlet.
Oh, so he knew that you knew who he was?
He didn't know who. I don't know him. He didn't know who I was, but I was just in like full Hawks kit, and he could see that there was a guy, a fan out on the street. Like this is just in suburban Wollongong, and he's just giving me a toot and like an actual wave.
Nice. Because I'm sure that's happened before where people are a bit of a bandwagoner and, they go, oh, God, you mate, supporting the team and that. And this person's like, I have no idea who you are.
This would be like walking down King Street alongside Macca's there or NEX and Tyson Frizzell like madly beeping his horn going, oh, g'day, Lincoln.
Yeah.
Like as if he's going to do that.
Yeah. Oh, good for you,
funny.
Scotty. That would have made your day, mate.
It did make my day, and it reminded me that good things happen to good people, and Tyler's a good man, so I'm happy to give him a shout out.
How are they going, the old Hawks? Last time you told me they weren't going too crash hot. Mate.
Not so great, but look, it's a bit hot and cold at the moment. But they haven't reached the heights that they got to last season, obviously winning the competition, but it's still like rugby league. It's a long season, so they could still go on a run. It's not out of the question, but they are having a tough time, and Tyler has struggled to put on the points that he did last year. So I hope after a great interaction on the street this morning that he really turns it on this weekend.
Mate, I reckon that would have been told in the dressing sheds. Like, mate, I've spotted them out there. They're out there. They're believing. And you never know, mate.
I'm like the Ted Lasso of the Illawarra Hawks. The belief.
Exactly, mate. Just that encounter, just the right place, right time, and you never know, mate. You could just change their fortunes.
Let's see how it goes. All right. Well, we'll go around the grounds to some of the other sports we've been watching, like the basketball next. But first, just like us here at the off-season, sport never stops, of course, and neither does Wests.
Footy to cricket, basketball to the races. It's live and loud on the big screens. And if you're a full Wests member, you score 15% off drinks at public bars. So the rounds last a little longer.
Yeah, very nice. Well, wherever you are, New Lambton, Cardiff, Mayfield, City, or Nelson Bay, Wests has the game on. So check it out and find out what's on at mywests.com.au. Big thanks to Wests for sponsoring this show. All right, let's go around the grounds now and talk about some of those other sports that we've been watching this off-season. And, mate, it is all about the cricket. I don't know about you, but I was glued to the telly for that incredible two-day test match in Perth. Did you watch it too?
I was desperately trying to, Scotty, mate. I thought this time of year, I'd have a little bit of time up my sleeve to enjoy a bit of cricket. I did try and keep tabs on it. Now, I'm going to rely on you to try and fill me in a little bit, mate. I've got a little bit of the lay of the land, and I'm going to lean on you a little bit to tell the story.
Listen, you can forget Bazball. It is all about Trav Ball, I reckon, now. After Travis Head made that incredible century, he opened the batting in the second innings because old Uzi Khawaja, and when I say old, I mean he's 38 and he's nearly over the hill. But he had back spasms. He wasn't able to open. Trav scored 167 balls, the second fastest 100 in Ashes history, only bettered by Adam Gilchrist across the road at the Wacker about 20 years ago. They were chasing an awkward 205-run target to win, and they got the job done in just 28 overs. It's starting to feel a bit more like a one-day international kind of setting or even a T20. The way they played, both teams... really with very little regard for their wicket. And it's in the space of just a few years. I mean, Test cricket is really changing before our eyes. And it was so good, though, to see Travis Head put his hand up and say, I want to open. If Usman can't do it, I want to open. He said that he's wanted to do it since Dave Warner retired, 12 or so months ago, maybe more than that now, 18 months ago. And he absolutely killed it. They've wanted to keep him in the middle order just because he's such a strong batsman. He's our best batsman. I mean, let's make no bones about it now. He is the best batsman we've got. Probably, Steve Smith would follow him, just given how well he's performed over so many years. But right now, and for the last 2 or 3 years, Travis Head is the best cricketer in the country. And after the game, it was so funny. He was interviewed on Fox Sports by Ishigua, and she asked him, do you think you could get 100 in those conditions? The bowlers were so good during the game. I mean, there were 19 wickets taken in the first day. It was incredible for the bowlers. The conditions were so good. And his answer was shit no. Total throwback. He wears like 90s style Oakley sunglasses. He's got a mo and a bit of a paunch that makes him look like he's playing local cricket. Absolutely love him for it. It's so good to see. And you can't forget Mitchell Starc either. I don't know how much of that first day you saw, but he ripped through England's batsmen, 7 wickets in the first innings and 10 for the match. An absolutely incredible effort.
Yeah, well, wow. Well, you'd think, Scotty, if he's got the hot hand at the moment, you're a bit more of a cricket buff than I am. Would you give it a head? Say, you know what, you got the hot hand at the moment. If you feel like you can open, by all means, go for it.
Yeah.
Or do you think, you know what, just keep him where he is? If you're the coach, what are you doing?
I'm head go to the head of the class. That's where I'm at the moment. I mean, I really think he's showed us now over a few years what he can do. He's so good. He's got heaps of experience in the Test cricket arena. And the reality is that Usman Khawaja, if I got this fact here, I wrote it down. Since mid-June 2023, he's made one score of more than 90 in 45 Test innings. And that was 232 against Sri Lanka. It came as Australia scored 654. But he's basically hardly put any runs together in the other 44 Test innings that he's had over that time. It's just not good enough. He's 38. He played golf for 3 days before that opening Test match game in Perth. He doesn't respect his body enough to prepare properly, I don't think. And I think his time's come. And he's been a great cricketer for a long time, but they've always said for a long time it's harder to get out of the Aussie cricket team than it is to get into it. And I think this is a great example where we probably should pull the trigger and say, Usman, you've been a great servant, but Travis Head now is our best opener, and we'll have him with Jake Weatherald. They're our opening pair for the rest of the summer unless anything amazing happens, and let's do our best. I mean, he did a great job in that second innings. He blasted England. He won the game for us. Let's see him do it again in Brisbane.
Yeah. When would he have debuted? Was it? Yeah, when you say 38, God, what would that have been like? Good, how many years? Over 10 years ago. Easy.
Over 10 years ago. Yeah, he came. Often batsmen come. They either come really early, like Constas, who played last summer and then is out of the team again, or they come in quite late. And you look at Jake Weatherald, I think is 32, and he's just debuted last week.
He had a duck, didn't he? He had a bit of a shocker to begin with, didn't he?
He had a duck, but he got into the high 20s in that second innings. So, and I think a lot of batsmen failed in the first innings in Perth. So I was a bit worried actually when that happened, but I won't judge him too harshly because it's his first Test and he did do a lot better in that second innings. Hopefully he finds his feet better at the Gabba. Khawaja's been there a long time. I don't think Marnus Labuschagne is an opener. He's better at 3. Steve Waugh at 4. We've got a couple of middle order batsmen in Cameron Green and I've just forgotten his name, but there's another all-rounder who they're looking to bring in if they do make this move, and I think that's a better way to go. It gives us batsmen who've got more height and can play bounce better because I've just forgotten his name, but both Cameron Green and this other guy are quite tall. And I think we need a bit of variety in size and, left and right hand batsmen in our team. And this gives us better balance. So I'm really looking forward to it. Mate, one other thing, and you may not have seen it if you didn't catch much of the Test, but for God's sake, Fox Cricket, they had this new, every summer they've always got to bring in some new trick or some new camera or some new thing that they want to do on screen. This year, it's the Fox Playbook. and it comes up on like a quarter of the screen, and it's basically like the speaking notes for the commentators, and they run through, what's the playbook to get this batsman out, or what's the playbook for this batsman to score lots of runs. And I feel like, when you go to like a conference or a meeting, and someone's giving like a PowerPoint presentation, and instead of having like a word or a picture, they've got all their speaking notes on the presentation, and they just read it all from the presentation. I feel like that's what they were doing on Fox, and I don't need that distraction on my screen. Just give me the cricket and you tell me the stuff. I'm happy to do it that way. It was really, really weird, and I hope they get rid of it for the second test.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound good at all, Scotty. Could you imagine Blocker Roach's notes up on some Sunday footy? No, thanks.
Absolutely. Second test starts at the Gabba on the 4th of December. And this week, it's not completely out of the realms of possibility that Oscar Piastri can still win the World Championship. Crazier things have happened, and drivers have come back from gaps of this size, but I'm going to call it. I don't think he's going to be the F1 World Champion this year, but I do want to pay tribute to him for an absolutely incredible effort behind the wheel at the pinnacle of motorsport for what is still like a very young Australian sportsman. I think he's 23, and the two drivers he's competing with are both more experienced in Lando Norris, who's been driving for McLaren for 7 years, and four-time world champion Max Verstappen, who's largely been unbeatable for the last 5 or so years. So they are both just too good. And there's 3 races to go. There's 2 GPs and a sprint on one of those weekends. Lando Norris is 24 points in front. You get 25 points for a win. Max and Oscar are both now tied on the same number of points. And as I said, Lando's 24 in front. Max is finishing so strong, and Lando is really running out of races to stuff it up, I think. In reality, it's his now to lose. And I reckon what's going to happen is McLaren's probably going to put away those papaya rules that they've been running with all year, where they say that they're going to allow equality between the two drivers, treat them equally, and let the best driver win. If they're smart, they will do those little things that have Oscar helping Lando get to the championship. And I reckon that's probably what's going to happen. It is still interesting, though, and we've talked a lot about Vegas on this episode. The race was in Vegas last weekend, and both McLarens were disqualified from the event. So Lando won the race. I think Max came second, and Oscar came fifth. But both of them were disqualified for like a technical infringement of the rules around some measurements on their car that occurred basically because the car was bottoming out too much on that course, and it meant that the clearance between the car and the road was not big enough.
Yeah, right.
There were like the skirts on the side of the car had been like worn away too much, and that was deemed to give them an advantage. Now that's not. That has happened before. I think even this season, 2 cars have been disqualified for a similar infringement. But it's really crazy because of where the championship points sit and where both of those drivers are. So I think it's unlucky for Oscar because he's just gone into a form slump at the wrong end of the season. And it does make the last 2 rounds interesting after those disqualifications last week in Vegas. It is going to be pretty interesting. So really encourage you to have a look at that and check that out. One thing I did want to talk to you about, though, which is crazy. Have you heard about the cursed burger chain?
The cursed burger chain? I have not.
Yeah. So Oscar Piastri is sponsored. Well, he's got quite a few sponsorships. He's doing pretty well, as we've talked about on this show this year. He's one of the highest paid sports stars in the country. He's sponsored by Grilled, the healthy burger chain.
Yeah.
And in the last little while, they've apologized for jinxing Piastri. They've been running this special promotion since the Italian Grand Prix in September, where they're offering free, they call them Piastri 81 burgers, for every time that he finished on the podium. So it's like in the NBL, if the visiting team misses 2 free throws in a row, Hungry Jacks gives everybody in that home state free burgers that week. So this is the same sort of thing.
Okay.
But when they started this offer back in September, Oscar Piastri was in front of Lando Norris by 34 points. And since then, he hasn't been on the podium once.
Oh, my God.
They then went and changed their offer to free burgers for every time Piastri finished a race. And when they did that, he crashed out of the Brazilian Grand Prix. So,
Oh
like,
my
the curse
God.
is real. I've heard about the mining jersey curse for the Knights, but man, this is even worse. Fans have been crying out about it, blaming Grilled, who've now jumped on it, taking out ads saying, quote, to everybody who believed in the curse, we'd like to apologise to you and F1 fans everywhere. We never meant to create a burger so delicious that it could change the course of F1 history.
Well, there's only one course correction here, Scotty, and that's they've got to change the offer. Is if Max Verstappen or Lando win a race, you get free burgers for life. And you just
Absolutely
watch
for life.
you watch a huge Stephen Bradbury-esque type comeback. Now, look, is that out of the cards, Scotty? Oh, is that out
No,
of the cards that
no, it could
we
happen.
could see a Stephen Bradbury kind of Lando and Max take each other out, and there our boy is sitting there. Oscar, can it happen? Has it
Oh,
happened
man.
before?
Well, like I said, there's been championships decided by this many points where someone who is from behind, one of them I can see is face a Ferrari driver. I've forgotten who it is, but it's happened. I've read about it this week. It's happened a few times, right, in the last 20 years. So it is not beyond the realms of possibility. I'm just not feeling confident because of the form slump that Oscar's in. I blame Grilled, and I don't care about your apology. This is your fault. He hasn't finished on the podium once since you started this stupid burger offer. You should either take it back or take up Lincoln's advice. And mate, I agree, mate. Let's flip the switch, flip the curse, and go after these other two.
There you go. There's the punchline.
Yes. Take out an ad like that. Flip the burger and flip the curse.
Exactly right.
I love it. The last two races are in the Middle East, so they'll be on at horrendous times for us to watch them live, but that's what we've got to look forward to over the next couple of weeks. And who knows, maybe we do flip the burger and flip the curse. We'll see. Mate, thanks a lot. That is it for the off-season this week, brought to you by the West Group, Newcastle and the Hunters' one-of-a-kind dining and entertainment venue. Don't forget, members enjoy $6 happy hours every day from 4 till 6, a great time to get a drink. And if you join by December 31 this year, you get a $10 voucher to make the most of those daily savings. So if you are in Newey or you're near a Wests Leagues and you're not a member, make sure to join because there's some really great offers, including that $10 voucher, which you can make the most of right now. So big thanks to West Group Australia for supporting this and for getting behind the Knights and being such a great owner of the club. You can catch the show every week on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. Lincoln, my friend, it has been another pleasure. I will see you on the next episode of the off-season. In the meantime, everybody, enjoy your off-season.